Hello and welcome to some more Star Citizen. Alpha 3.18 has now been released to live, and in this video we're going to delve into the patch notes for that build. If you'd prefer a much briefer summary on 3.18 or a tutorial for the patch, then check out our other videos on the channel. There is a full wipe with this patch, including Alpha EBC, ships and reputation. You do keep all the items that are part of your account though, so items that were bought with real money and promos, gifts, etc. You keep all of that. Physicalized Cargo Tier 0. This refactor of the ship's cargo system allows both found and purchased cargo to be picked up, moved around, and placed into the cargo grid of a ship. The cargo system has been completely rewritten with this refactor. The cargo boxes that you see in the ship are actually individual boxes that can be removed and moved around the grid, added to the grid, and you can use tractor beams to move this. Tractor beams, incredibly important with this patch. As part of the refactor, they've rebuilt the commodity kiosk UI in building blocks, which is used to buy and sell cargo, and buy and sell stuff to ship and player inventories. Vehicle soft death or destruction is in game now, so if one of a ship's systems is destroyed, a critical system, then the ship will remain intact but stranded. Obviously, if the health of the ship is reduced to 0 of a certain part, and be that the hull or whatever, then this can still happen. But the crew on board, if they're players, will survive. If they are NPC crew, they will die. The cargo on a ship that is in this state is going to be intact as well. Ships in this state are lootable, they are salvageable, they are boardable, but they are permanently non-functional, and you can shoot them more to blow them up. Security Post Korea reactivation. So, this station has now got a full-time security staff there from Crusader. The station will be off limits to all civilians unless given prior authorization. Korea has undergone a full sort of redesign internally. This includes a new evidence and contraband processing office where there is a contraband dispenser, new traversal pathways, new color schemes. There's a boss that will spawn every so often after you take out enough guards that will have a code on it that you can then go and use it to dispense some valuable material. It's also the only place that you can hack down your criminal rating. There will be missions that are generated there for bounty hunters to come and get you if you are creating a little bit too much fuss. The sort of narcotics or contraband dispenser will pump out between 15 and 20 items, and once retrieved, the security terminal will lock itself again, so then you'll need to get another code if you wanted to get it sort of pumping out materials again. A new mission, retake locations, also potentially going to be generated if you, as I said, were generating a little bit too much fuss, and then players will be able to legally go into Korea to deal with players that are criminals there. Platform assault on Horizon. So there are bounty, assassinate and clear all, as well as other missions that take place on the Inspiration Park platforms that were used for the Siege of Horizon. So these will have you clearing buildings similar to underground facility missions. You might have to take out a specific target. There are 3 difficulty curves ranging from an easy one of just clear 1 building to hard ones to clear 3 buildings. For players to qualify and receive these missions, they first need to complete the security work assessment for Crusader Security. Get some rep up with them. New missions, time trials, racing tier 0. Racing time trials have finally come to the persistent universe. Players will be able to test their skills versus set times on the newly added racetracks around landmarks in the persistent universe, earning rewards based on performance and even unlocking more tracks as they progress. Players can pick up the first racing mission for the outskirts of Lawville, and with enough racing prowess, get reputation to move on to the rest of the time trials around Stanton. This Tier 0 implementation is focused on ships and includes reputation progress tracks, so sounds like we will have ground racing in much more in-depth in the future. There is also, at Horizon, LPTV buggy racing arena, which you can just go down and jump into a buggy and race around. It's a little bit silly. Get involved if you are interested. Salvage, hull scraping. The first implementation of salvage is coming to the persistent universe here. So this is hull stripping. So this includes performing hull stripping and repairs by hand, as well as hull stripping using the systems aboard the Drake Vulture, which is also new in the patch, or the Aegis Reclaimer, which can now use 2 of its turrets to do hull stripping salvage. Using highly advanced compression technology, these tools can break down ship and vehicle exteriors, converting them into RMC, recycled materials composite, and store them in the canisters attached this is for the FPS tool. So with a multi-tool and a salvage/repair attachment, you can do that by hand. The same tool, when you have RMC in your canister, can then fill in damaged areas in the hulls of ships. You will be able to find many new derelict ships around space, like in asteroid belts, around Lagrange points, and there are some much rarer, larger ships for players to salvage around too. Vehicle hull scraping, so actually using the Vulture or the Reclaimer to salvage, is a bit more like mining. To be able to scrape the hull of a newly found wreck, the target must have its shields turned off, and you'll be able to see that in the UI. To enter and exit salvage mode, hit M. Players can right-click to cycle through attached beams in the sub-item slot. By left-clicking, players can activate and deactivate the scraper beam. There are 2 modes players can be in while salvaging. Pressing G will have converging and fixed beams, so it sort of toggles between them. Fixed mode acts like weapons and points the salvage beam directly where the player aims, while converging mode lets players gimbal the beams independently. Left alt and mouse wheel will move converging point, and left alt and right click will switch between vertical and horizontal converging modes. Players will need to manually remove filled storage boxes from a ship's salvage area using a handheld tractor beam or converting it into RMC canisters for repairing. Also, bear in mind that you can also use these dispensaries on the salvage vehicles, so the Reclaimer and the Vulture, to produce multi-tools and multi-tool attachments. So you can make the salvage tool, you can make a gravity tool at a dispensary for those vehicles. With a hand salvage tool to move between scraping and repair modes, press B, and then you can just toggle that mode. Sandbox prison activities. Expansion of prison gameplay with a new suite of missions and sandbox activities to give inmates more opportunities to earn merits or to aid in their escape from prison. The prison and its mine are now filled with emergent populations of prison guards and civilian prisoners with lootable items. Players will be able to loot contraband throughout the prison mines and from bodies and sell them to the prison kiosk for merits. This includes a brand new prison escape delivery mission where players have to find and loot an item in the escape route and then deliver it at the nearest outpost. Upon doing this, the player will then have their criminal record wiped by the mission giver. Players will now incur a punishment for suiciding in prison. However, if they retrieve their gear from their body, they can pay off this merit value instantly. Daymar Crash Site. The addition of a large derelict settlement on Daymar using parts of the Starrunner and 600i, as well as some HABs adapted to the biome to create a point of interest, which includes various missions. Currently, the Nine Tails have run of that, but that will be changing in the future. Sand Cave Archetypes. The addition of new Sand Cave archetypes across multiple planets and moons in the Saturn system, including Hurston, Magda, Eta, Daymar, and Walla, each with their own unique sand cave formations. These new sand caves include the brand new land crustacean known as the Stone Bug and its new harvestable, the Stone Bug Shell. He's a wiggly, shakily boy. They're cool. Small derelict outpost expansions in Stanton. There's an addition of 30 new small derelict outposts across more planet-side locations in the Stanton system. These are additional variants of those already placed on Microtech in 3.17. Each location features a collection of ruined outposts in varying degrees of degrade, along with missions and AI inhabitants. New rivers in Stanton, adding dozens of new rivers and lakes with biome-specific object rule sets around bodies of water and distributing these around Microtech and Hurston. Restricted Areas version 3. Complete rework of the restricted area tech around landing zones. Instead of ships being autopiloted away or destroyed upon entering a restricted area, players are now given more freedom to move and maneuver, fly around cities. Upon entering a restricted area, players will be given a text warning, a countdown, and an arrow pointing towards the exit. If the countdown ends or they go further into the restricted area, the player will be teleported to a safe location, their ship will be impounded, and they will receive a misdemeanor crime stat. This feature also applies to ground vehicles. Players outside of a vehicle won't receive a countdown, but will be teleported to safety if they venture too far into a restricted area. Caterpillar Crash Sites version 1 improvements. They've added base AI to populate Caterpillar crashes, and they've added kill-specific and kill-all missions, including general polish pass and visual improvements there too. Derelict Settlements Reclaimer version 2. There's been a polish pass to Reclaimers, including additional buildings and general visual improvements around these settlements. Stanton Racetrack location. locations. Addition of many new racetracks in Stanton. With this update, they're including 6 new and community-driven racing locations into the persistent universe with updated assets and dressing to make each racing track unique. We've talked about this a little bit already. Hurston, that's the Lawville Gateways, the start of the time trial missions. This is what you need to be able to unlock the rest of them. Then there's the Daymar Yarda Valley, Orison Chaplin Stadium, Grimhex, Miner's Lament, Uterpi, Icebreaker, and ArcCorp, the Skyscraper. Persistent entity streaming, the implementation of this new core tech into the game, making use of services such as Entity Graph and Replication Layer. This allows every dynamic object in a shard to persist within that shard, irrelevant of whether it's owned or held by a player. This also saves states on servers even if they crash, so when they load back up, they should have those changes on them, though you might not necessarily be able to get back on the same server that you were on earlier and when you log back on, so bear that in mind. New courier delivery missions around each of the planets in Stanton. These are new missions that are set around the local delivery companies for each planet and give players a more focused area for deliveries. There are 4 new delivery reputations based on areas that you are in: Redwind local delivery, Ling family local delivery route, Kovalex local delivery route, and UDM local delivery route. These new missions can be acquired after completing the intro missions for the local delivery company in that area. Quality of life inventory improvements. They've added the ability for long-term persistence, LTP, items to stack in inventory. They've added transfer all buttons to inventories that work based on selected filters. They've added visual feedback attempting to quick move an item that won't fit in the target inventory. They've implemented toggle options to the top right of the player's inventory to always show and hide item ports for equipping gear. The lore system improvements. So they've overhauled the lore system to be less punishing for players with lower crime stats and for it to also be more clear. Players with a crime stat 1 or 2 can no longer be attacked lawfully, nor will they be shot on sight by stations and landing zones. You can land there normally. The vast majority of crimes are now paid off at fines rather than needing any form of prison time. However, more serious crimes are very expensive. All crimes accumulate, so bear that in mind. You will eventually reach a crime stat 3 if you keep on doing lots of minor things. You'll want to pay your fines off. If you don't pay them off in time, they will double in value. You've got 7 days to pay them off. Also, you will be able to surrender by powering off your ship if you're scanned by security, if you want to. And if you go to a terminal, a fine kiosk, you can even pay off quite high-level crime stats if you can actually get there, because you will be being shot at least potentially. Also, as Korea is the only place to hack down your crime stat now, they actually made it a lot quicker to be able to hack down each individual infraction. Balance tweaks. So they've greatly increased ballistic weapon shield penetration. Ship armor now grants 50% resistance, physical resistance to this, increasing ship durability against incoming ballistic fire. But remember, it is penetrating through the shields, so it is very attrition-y. EM and IR adjustments to shields have been made to support more accurate missiles, reduced the overall signal strength, and made them more consistent. They've increased shield delay down from 5 seconds to 10 seconds. There have been various updates and changes to distortion weapons, so it will take quite a while to disable a ship potentially. And power plants have a turn-off binary that then take 300 seconds to recover. Coolers cannot be distorted. Item health has been balanced so that a single missile hit cannot instantly kill them, and they've updated component damage for coolers and power plants. Some other changes: request landing has a new default key binding of Alt and N. Use that regularly for landing and takeoff. They've disabled bed log outs around Outpost. They've improved layouts of commodity price alerts, journal entries to list commodity type rather than location. They've removed physical pressure from distortion weapons. The Scorpius Antares QED/EMP fighter has been added to the game as well. They've got some new Windows shader stuff. NPC loadouts have been updated, so there's sort of new looking shopkeepers and civilian outfits and armors. They've enabled Gen 12 renderer, physics optimizations, server performance improvements, and they've updated commodity kiosks to use building block stack. Claim jumper missions have been temporarily disabled for 3.18. Ground vehicle speeds have changed, and they've greatly increased the hull health of the 600i. There's also a few Arena Commander updates. So there's been a load of quality of life improvements, and Cloud Imperium are planning to update Arena Commander a lot more with 3.19 and beyond. So they've also integrated like persistent entity streaming and that sort of stuff into Arena Commander. Among other changes, there are also balance and scoring changes. There are many new ships now rentable and usable in Arena Commander. Usage of items does not affect their availability. They've increased the player limit of free flight to 24. They've decreased the minimum needed for last stand to 2. Dual, Battle Royale, and Squadron have been limited to light and medium combat ships. Dying Star has undergone a visibility pass, reducing cloud density, glare, and the size of smoke particle effects, which led to poor visibility and motion sickness for some players. There are still various known issues with this patch that were not solved from the PTU on 3.18, so bear that in mind. They are working on a 3.18.1 patch at the moment that will be released ASAP, potentially next week, and that's going to address some more of those issues and various server problems too. There were a lot of problems with players connecting and with login queues at the moment, so there were quite long login queues. Bear that in mind. But that's it for your deeper delve into 3.18's patch notes. I hope that helps some of you that were interested. I'm interested to know if you're playing in 3.18 alpha on the live build at the moment. What's your experience of live been so far? Are you waiting for the 3.18.1 patch? Are there too many bugs for you? Have you not been able to get in? Has it been an awesome experience? Has it been terrible? Whatever your thoughts, I'd love to hear from you in the comments below. It's 2023. There's no need for a VPN like NordVPN, right? In the modern era. Wrong. What's this, a Silent Hill styled ad? No, due to copyright, it's actually a Quiet Mound ad. But that siren means that someone's got my browsing data and hacked all my sanity away at Starbucks. Oh no, that guy's got a triangle on his head. Ah! I've never had a Silent Hill incident while using nordvpn.com/BoredGamer. By God, can you risk not having it? Well, probably, but why take the chance? NordVPN can help you access more content on the internet from more countries in a safer and more private way. It's an essential tool in your arsenal in 2023 against the legally distinct triangle head. Check out the links below for one hell of a deal. Every month we have a ship giveaway. For March, we are giving away an Argo Raft, the mighty little hauler that could. Soon, it should be able to make use of its 32 SCU cargo boxes, but in Alpha 3.18, it's going to be able to make you some serious Alpha UEC from cargo hauling. It also comes with a game package and lifetime insurance, all you need to get started in your Star Citizen career. Thank you so much for watching this video and supporting the channel. Please consider becoming a YouTube member with the join button under our videos or using the links below Patreon. It really goes the extra mile to support us making daily content for Star Citizen. If you liked the video, be sure to like and subscribe and share it with your space friends. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the verse.